I let him out. He's already out. So what's the point of letting him back out?
Yeah.
He's already proven that he does stuff like this. So don't give him an opportunity to take somebody else's family.
Their whole family.
Because that's what I think people don't understand. He took them all. It's not just the loss of our son.
I know.
It's the loss of our daughter-in-law, of Braydon, of everybody, of Courtney. It's a whole family gone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. So we're going to be here every chance we get. We're going to be right here for our son because he cannot be here. They love their daughter.
Absolutely.
And we're going to be here. Won't we?
Yes, we'll be here.
How would you like the community to remember your loved ones?
Matthew was a good father.
He was a good boy.
He was a good brother. He was a damn good son.
And they loved their baby.
Absolutely.
They loved their baby. The whole family loved each other. That's the thing that people were forgetting.
Yeah.
We all loved each other, and nobody... It's just a really bad situation. We want everybody to remember Matthew. Everybody knows Matthew. Matthew grew up right there on that hill, running those streets in Dyer County.
Yeah.
Never been in no trouble, no nothing. And they need to keep that in mind and stop focusing so much on the morbid aspect of it. Because Matthew has siblings that are young that can Google all this. And
yeah. Internet's forever.
Exactly. And people need to understand that there's children, there's minors involved in this. And that as a family, we're just broken. Right?
Yes.
I just don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
Right.
So,
who is caring for the little girl right now?
She's in protective custody.
An assault rifle, a loaded magazine, a man accused of killing 4 people in cold blood. This wasn't fiction. This wasn't a headline from somewhere far away. This was Tennessee. Authorities say Austin Robert Drummond, just 28 years old, was on the run after crime so brutal it left a baby without her parents, her grandmother, or her uncle. For lives gone, a family wiped out. And in the days after, the man accused of pulling the trigger didn't run for the border. He didn't disappear into the night. No, he slipped in and out of church buildings carrying an assault rifle and a magazine ready to fire. Think about that for a second. A fugitive with a violent past, armed with a weapon designed to kill, stepping into sanctuaries meant for prayer and peace. How close was he to the public? How close was he to someone's child, someone's family, while he was hiding in plain sight? Surveillance cameras captured him wearing camouflage, moving quietly, testing doors, checking for a way inside. Every frame of that footage sent shivers down the spine of the communities he passed through. This wasn't a man panicking. This was a man calculating. While he moved through rural Tennessee, the state was on high alert. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, U.S. Marshals, county deputies, and federal agents were all hunting for him. Roadblocks went up. Tips poured in. The warnings were clear. Do not approach. Call 911. He is armed and dangerous. And then nearly a week after the killings, fate stepped in. In Jackson, Tennessee, a man named Ricardo Contreras was working construction near a vacant building. It was just another day on the job until he noticed something. Movement, small, subtle, but enough to stop him mid-task. There, in the trees, someone was watching. Contreras didn't ignore it. He didn't look away. He picked up the phone and made a call that would change everything. Within minutes, law enforcement swarmed the area. They moved in tight, weapons ready, scanning every corner, every shadow. And then there he was, Austin Robert Drummond. Camouflage clothes, the rifle still in his possession. The manhunt was over. No shots were fired. No one was hurt in the arrest. But the danger? It had been far closer than anyone wanted to admit. Drummond wasn't some first-time offender. His criminal history stretched back years. An armed robbery conviction as a teen, prison time, disciplinary incidents, gang activity, and more recently, an attempted murder charge that he was out on bond for when these killings happened. This wasn't a man who had slipped through the cracks. This was a man who had walked through them. But his capture wasn't the end, because a few days later, Drummond was brought into a Lake County courtroom, shackled under heavy guard. And something happened that no one expected. The prosecution came in swinging. They told the court they would seek the death penalty. The charges against him? For counts of first-degree murder, aggravated kidnapping, multiple firearm charges. The kind of case that could put a man on death row. But before the hearing ended, Drummond spoke. And what he asked for left people stunned. He didn't ask for leniency. He didn't ask for more time. He asked for a speedy trial. Why would a man facing the death penalty want to race toward it? Was it arrogance? A legal gamble? Or something else entirely? The judge made note of his request, but kept the trial process on its standard path. Still, the moment left a question hanging in the air. What game was Austin Robert Drummond playing? For others have been charged with helping him evade capture, accused of aiding a fugitive wanted for multiple murders. The case has widened, pulling in more names, more charges, and more controversy.
In a possession of a firearm during the commission of a dangerous felony, it's alleged that all of the victims in the case that previously were mentioned were located deceased from apparent gunshot wounds on the same date. A minor child with the date of birth 12/12/2024 with the initials WW was discovered left in the front of a residence in Dyer County, Tennessee. States that Mr. Drummond committed the offense of aggravated kidnapping by false imprisonment, which was committed to facilitate the commission of a felony or flight. It's alleged he committed this offense also possessing a firearm during the commission of said dangerous felony. When he possessed a firearm, he therefore has those counts. General Goodman, is the state moving forward with felony charges in this matter?
Yes, Your Honor, we are.
Mr. Drummond, I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for you at this time on your behalf, being that you did not have counsel appointed or retained to represent you. Are you going to be able to hire an attorney, sir, to represent you, or will you need me to ask you questions about your finances to appoint you an attorney?
On the morning of July 29, 2025, in the small, unassuming community of Tigrett, Tennessee, life was as ordinary as ever until it wasn't. It began with an image that would haunt this town forever. An image so raw and bewildering that even seasoned investigators struggled to process it. A local resident stepped outside their home and froze. There on their front porch sat a 7-month-old baby girl. She was buckled into a car seat, dressed neatly, and placed deliberately. Alone. No parent in sight. No explanation. Just a silent infant staring up at the world that had just taken everything from her. Within minutes, the Dyer County Sheriff's Office was on the scene. Officers checked the child. Miraculously, she was unharmed. But her presence there made no sense. Why here? Who left her? And where were her parents? As paramedics secured the baby's safety, another call crackled over police radios. This time from Lake County, about 40 miles away. What investigators would find next would rip this story wide open. Down a rural stretch of Carrington Road, surrounded by dense woods and quiet farmland, officers stumbled onto a scene they'll never forget. For bodies, they lay hidden among the trees, as if someone had tried poorly to conceal them from sight. The victims were soon identified. James M. Wilson, just 21 years old. Adrianna Williams, 20, James' partner, and the mother of that surviving baby girl. Cortney Rose, 38, Adrianna's mother. Braydon Williams, 15, Adrianna's younger brother. For lives gone, a family wiped out in one act of violence. The connection was immediate. The baby left on that stranger's porch? She was James and Adrianna's daughter, the sole survivor. But for investigators, survival was only the beginning. In law enforcement, they say some cases announce themselves with chaos, sirens blaring, suspects fleeing. Others creep in, starting with a whisper, a single clue that unravels a web far darker than anyone imagined. This was one of those cases. By late afternoon, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation was called in alongside county, state, and federal partners. The mission: find out who did this and why. The crime scene itself was telling. Multiple gunshot wounds. No immediate sign of forced entry, suggesting the victims may have known their killer. And then came the crucial discovery. The name of a man investigators believed was responsible. Austin Robert Drummond, 28 years old. A man with a history, one that would soon shock the public as much as the crime itself. Within hours, warrants were issued for Drummond's arrest on 4 counts of first-degree murder, aggravated kidnapping, and multiple firearm charges. Authorities warned he was armed and dangerous. For the people of West Tennessee, fear set in fast. Small towns like Tigrett and Tiptonville aren't used to fugitives on the run, much less ones accused of killing for people and abandoning a baby. The streets emptied. Residents locked their doors. Every stranger looked suspicious. Meanwhile, law enforcement scrambled to piece together his movements. A 2016 Audi believed to be driven by Drummond was recovered. Nearby, a 1988 Ford pickup connected to the victims was also located. The evidence was stacking up, but Drummond himself was nowhere to be found. Back at the crime scene, forensic teams worked methodically. Each bullet casing, each footprint, every fiber could be the key to conviction. But the most haunting image remained the same. That baby on the porch spared, but left in the aftermath of unimaginable violence. Why was she left alive? Mercy? Or a calculated move to avoid the public outrage that comes with killing a child? One thing was clear, this was no random act. It was targeted. The suspect didn't just kill 4 people. He erased almost an entire branch of a family tree in a single day. Neighbors in Tigrett began recalling small, odd details from that morning. A vehicle parked strangely, footsteps at odd hours. But in a town like this, where everyone knows everyone, suspicion didn't come naturally, until it was too late. From the moment Austin Drummond's name was released, the story was no longer local. It was national. News outlets carried the same chilling headline. Quadruple murder in Tennessee, baby found alive. And with each passing hour, the question loomed larger. Where was he? The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, U.S. Marshals, and local police threw everything they had into finding him. Tips began pouring in. People claimed they'd seen someone moving through the woods. Surveillance cameras caught fleeting glimpses of a man in camouflage, rifle in hand. Every lead mattered, because until Drummond was in custody, no one was truly safe. And while the manhunt intensified, the community mourned. Vigils were held, candles lit, photos of James, Adrianna, Courtney, and Braydon circulated online, for lives reduced to memories and headlines, all while their accused killer stayed one step ahead. This case was already shocking, but as details of Drummond's past began to surface, the public's outrage deepened, because Austin Robert Drummond was not a stranger to violence. And when the truth of his criminal history came out, many would ask the same question. How was he free to kill? In the days ahead, the search for Drummond would cross county lines, state lines, and eventually lead to a capture as dramatic as the crime itself. But here in this first chapter, it's not about the chase. It's about the beginning. A baby, abandoned, but alive. For family members, gone in an instant. And a community forced to confront the reality that even the most ordinary days can turn into nightmares. When July 29th began, no one in Tigrett could have imagined how it would end. Now they would spend the coming weeks waiting, not just for justice, but for answers. When the name Austin Robert Drummond hit the airwaves, the tragedy in Tigrett took on a new dimension. It wasn't just about grief anymore, it was about fear, because the man accused of killing 4 members of a young family was not in custody. He was somewhere out there, armed, dangerous, and on the run. At 28 years old, Drummond wasn't an unknown figure to law enforcement. His record stretched back more than a decade. In 2014, as a teenager, he was convicted of armed robbery, a crime serious enough to put him behind bars for years. But prison didn't slow him down. Disciplinary records show fights, threats, gang activity, even assaults. And when he got out, it wasn't long before he was arrested again, this time for attempted murder. Incredibly, he wasn't serving time when the Lake County killings happened. He was out on bond, walking free. For prosecutors, it was a nightmare scenario. A repeat violent offender accused of the most extreme crime possible and still evading capture. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation moved fast. Warrants were issued for counts of first-degree murder, aggravated kidnapping, multiple firearm charges. They released Drummond's photo, clean-shaven, dark hair, piercing eyes, and a warning to the public, do not approach him. Call 911 immediately. Within hours, law enforcement recovered key evidence. A 2016 Audi believed to be driven by Drummond was found abandoned. Not far from it, a 1988 Ford pickup linked to the victims also turned up. Both vehicles were clues, but also warnings. He was mobile, resourceful, and moving fast. Surveillance cameras began to tell the story of where he'd been.
Mr. Drummond, prior to being taken in on these charges, sir, were you working anywhere?
I have a business, inflatable run business, kids parties, part-time shows, decorations, stuff like that.
So you were self-employed, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now this is what I'm going to ask you, sir. Obviously, that may vary depending on how much business you generate monthly. If you could estimate for me what your monthly income would be from that business.
It was in there, but it was around $46,000 a month.
For the defense, the challenge was monumental. How do you represent a client facing overwhelming evidence, national attention, and the possibility of execution? For the community, the trial loomed like a storm on the horizon. Because this case wasn't just about one man. It was about the system that allowed him to be there, free, armed, and able to commit the crime he's accused of. And for many, that was almost as hard to accept as the murders themselves. As the hearing ended, deputies escorted Drummond out of the courtroom. Cameras flashed. His face remained unreadable. No visible remorse, no visible fear. And outside, a different picture. Family members holding photos of the victims. Candles lit in their memory. The grief still fresh, the wound still open. The stage was now set. The man accused of a quadruple murder had been caught, charged, and warned. The state would seek his death. For others, faced their own charges for helping him. And the community, along with the rest of the nation, waited to see if justice would be swift or delayed by the complexities of the legal system. When the gavel struck that day, it didn't end the story. It only marked the beginning of the next chapter, one that will play out in a courtroom under the eyes of the public and under the weight of 4 lives lost. The baby who survived will grow up with questions that may never have answers. But for now, all eyes turn to August 14 TH and the trial that could decide whether Austin Robert Drummond spends the rest of his life behind bars or faces the most final sentence of all.